What should I build next? Let me think. Hey. And welcome back to Plastic Models by a Regular Dude and part one of my next project. And if you didn't already guess by my opening little sequence there, here's what it is. The Dragon 1/35th scale SDKFZ 184 Elefant Premium Edition, kit number 6311. Hi, and welcome back to Plastic Models by a Regular Dude and part one of my next project, the Dragon Premium Edition SDKFZ 184 Elefant, kit number 6311. So before I get too far, I have to do my usual. Send a big thanks to Keith Short, my friend here locally, for giving me this kit. Gave me this and a couple other ones to build, and I figured I would do this one first since I've never built an Elefant or Ferdinand or anything like that. So let's go ahead and first of all talk about the kit itself. This kit was first tooled in 2000, and there's been a few different iterations of it, different decals, new parts, etc. This particular boxing looks like it came out in 2006. And from the stuff I've read and seen, it seems to be a pretty good kit. Hopefully lacking the usual instruction problems, so to speak. Sometimes Dragon has weird stuff going on with their instructions, and I haven't read any problems with this one, so hopefully we're in the clear. For the box itself, it's got the typical Dragon artwork on the top, more artwork on the side with the different marking options that are available, the paint schemes and the markings themselves, the decals. And then on the other side of the box we have some nice illustrations pointing out some of the photo etch parts that come with this kit, since it is a premium edition. Has some nice tread pattern on the fenders, clamps, extra details for the commander's cupola, and then an illustration of the photo etch parts themselves. On the bottom of the box, it gives a nice big diagram here of the kit and some more of the photo etch parts, metal barrel, and magic tracks, which is pretty cool. And if you're not familiar with Dragon kits, apparently the earlier iterations of this kit had individual track links, but they were on sprues, so they had to be cut off, cleaned, seam lines removed, and all that kind of stuff. With this, it has magic tracks, which are just ready to go right out of the box. Now these are not workable, they have to be glued together, but having used magic tracks before, shouldn't be too big of a deal, and I'll be talking about that in the build. Jack is a new design, so it's multi-pieces. I'm sure the older version was maybe one piece. Nice photo etch frame for the jack block, metal U-shaped towing hooks, which is kind of nice. Toolbox, photo etch toolbox, and yeah, looks pretty good. And then it gives a little bit of information on what a premium edition is. So that is the box. So let's go ahead and crack this open and see what's inside. Okay, so going into the contents of the box, keep in mind, viewers, that I try and do these for people who may have never seen maybe this brand of kit or much in the way of models at all. So a lot of the stuff I say will be redundant for a lot of people, and a lot of people will be totally versed in what I'm talking about, but I want to give as much information I can to whoever happens to be watching. So that said, these are dragging instructions, and you will see here all of the different sprues that come with this kit. Now you'll notice that there are blue areas. Now what that means is those are probably this, like sprue B for instance, is probably a common sprue with other versions of the Elefant and Ferdinand, since the Elefant and Ferdinand were really close in design and features and all that kind of stuff. So when there's a common sprue, there may be parts on here that go for one kit, say a Ferdinand or a different Elefant version or whatever, but not on the kit that you happen to be building, in this case the Elefant. So these parts here will not be used. Now I'm also going to assume that since on the box it said something about an improved jack, that's why that jack and the associated parts are not going to be used, because it's available on another sprue. So that's what the blue means. Those are parts that, let's see, you can says right down here, the blue shaded says parts not for use. So anyway, it just lays out all the sprues for you, and you should have all of this stuff in the kit. So getting into the inside, you have some information in various languages, various Asian languages, German, English, French. I'm assuming that looks like Spanish, maybe? Maybe, I don't know. No, I don't think that's Spanish. I'm sorry. I haven't read any Spanish stuff in a long time, so that could be Italian. I don't know. My foreign language skills are non-existent. Anyway, a lot of information there. Gives a legend here of what all of the different markings mean in the instructions. Buy two means make two pieces. Exclamation point, be careful. A little snap blade utility knife means to remove something, to cut it off or saw it off, whatever you need to do. Open hole, etc. Then right here it gives a nice chart of colors that you will need, and it gives the colors in GSI Krios Corporation, which is Aqueous Hobby Color and Mr. Color. So the white is Hobby Color Aqueous, which is a alcohol-based acrylic, and then the blue is GSI Krios Corporation Mr. Color, which I think it's all Mr. Hobby now. So it's Mr. Hobby Aqueous Hobby Color and Mr. Hobby Mr. Color. And the Mr. Color is a lacquer. Now it's nice because, and this tells you how old this is, because this company doesn't even exist anymore. Model Master. Testor's Model Master paints gives you the numbers for those as well, but they're defunct. So if you've got the colors, you got the numbers right there, so you know what to do. Then we move on down to the actual construction steps. So gives you color call outs, etc. I'm not going to get into detail on that because that's all going to be gone over in the actual build itself. But the instructions don't look too obnoxious. They can be pretty busy. There's a lot going on here. Possibly could have been broken up into more steps, but it's not too bad. I've seen worse from Dragon. And there you go. Oh yeah, that's some busy looking stuff. There's a lot going on here, but we'll be able to handle it, no problems. So shows the metal barrel and the two-piece barrel. So you can use either one if you prefer to use a plastic barrel. Then we get down into paint and markings. So we've got one in Italy, one at Rome, both 1944. Italy 1944, Poland 1944, Poland 1945. So it's just going to be a matter of deciding which marking option I want to do, and I will decide that between now and the next video. So that's the instructions. All right, so next let's take a look at some plastic, and we'll start with sprues A. And I did say sprues plural because there are 2 A sprues. Seems kind of weird, but we'll start with this one here. And let me hit the old zoom so we can see what we're talking about. Now this, obviously, this is for 1/35 scale Tiger 1. So obviously there are some common parts. And looking at this, I wouldn't even begin to know what the common parts are, unless it's maybe the muzzle brake, if you're using the plastic barrel. I don't know. But there it is. Sprue A. The next sprue A, which is for the Ferdinand. So this would be a common sprue between the Ferdinand and the Elefant. The front upper deck where the hatches go, the hatches themselves. Everything looks pretty good. Now, here's some things to note. I don't see any flash or anything weird like that going on. Mold seam lines on these small parts look pretty good. But there are ejector pin marks. Now these are all on the inside, so no big deal. Now if you wanted to have the hatches posed open, you'd have to take care of these here, but they're really super shallow, so just a very little bit of sanding I think would take care of that. So it looks like they've taken care to put the ejector pin marks on the non-exposed side. So not bad, looks pretty good. So that is the next sprue A. We have sprue B, and some of this will be replaced by photo etch parts like these fenders and stuff. But again, all the parts look really good. Nice heavy bolt detail going on there. If you opted to go with the plastic parts, there is some decent texture on here, like tread pattern, so that's pretty good. So yeah, that is that. These yeah, all looks good. Again, no too much flash going on or anything like that. There is some mold seam line right there that's going to have to be taken care of, but it's nothing too gruesome, and it's on a flat surface, so that's should be pretty easy. There is mold seam line here on this round part, or the cylindrical. It's like a long cylinder, but very, very fine. So again, should be no problem to take care of. Sprue C, which we have the gun, the main gun, the plastic version, the gun shield, the breech, the interior part of the gun barrel, the trunnion, various small parts. All looks pretty good. The mold seam lines are a little bit heavier on this, but these are interior parts and they're not going to be exposed. So I think a lot of these interior parts I probably won't even be using because it's going to be completely buttoned up. But anyway, that's sprue C. Next we have sprue E and F. They are connected. So you have E on this side, F on this side. And it is for drive sprockets, road wheels, suspension components, toe clevises, all that kind of stuff. And it looks like there are a couple of options for the actually, no, I'm wrong. These things had a drive sprocket front and rear. I forget about that on the Elefants because they were driven by electric motors front and back. So that's why there's so many of them. But all these parts look really good. Nice detail, bolts, etc. Real fine little bolt detail going on there. So it looks good. So there are 2 E's and 3 F's. So you have the EF, you got 2 of the EF combos, and then an extra F because of the road wheels and the suspension components. So that is that. Next we have sprue J. Looks like cooling fans for the engine, commander's hatch. Now that's nice because if you wanted to have that commander's hatch open, there are no. That's for the Tiger. So there's some common parts on here, but anyway, that's the commander's hatch. Those would be the front hatches for the Tiger, front hull hatches. So, so obviously there's some shared components on here. I'm going to assume it's going to be like the lights, machine gun, probably fire extinguisher. Other than that, who knows? But anyway, that's sprue J, which is actually a Tiger sprue. Next we have sprue Y, and as you can see, it's for the Elefant. Got some nice texture on there, louvers. See some more really small parts. That's one thing Dragon's famous for, is having real tiny parts. Commander's cupola looks pretty good. Yep, all looks pretty good. This here, obviously this goes up, and there's some nice well detail going on around that, so that's cool. Yeah, looks like a machine gun barrel maybe. But anyway, there you have it. That is sprue Y. We have sprue F, which is for the Elefant. I think these are supplemental parts. Yes, they are, because there's a little instruction sheet that came in the bag with this. It says Elefant bonus rear hatch assembly. So it's a lot of extra parts for the rear hatch. And some brackets for spare. Yeah. This just shows all this back, and it shows what to do in this particular step with these supplemental parts. So it'll be interesting to see how that compares to the other. Finally, we have these 3 here, TA, TB, and TC. So we've got the tow cable eyes, we've got the jack, and some tow hooks, both the C type, I don't know what they're technically called, but I call them C type and S type, and then fire extinguisher and tools. So that concludes the plastic part of the kit. Oh, sorry. It doesn't actually conclude the plastic part of the kit, because we've got these really big pieces here. The Superstructure and the lower hull. So the lower hull, not a whole lot really to talk about. It's just one piece style hull. Detail on the underside, nothing on the inside obviously. It's got some nice weld detail along this edge. It'll be interesting to see how well the top parts fit on top. Yeah, lower hull and then the upper hull. I kind of like the fact that this is one piece. A lot of times some of the manufacturers will make this in multiple pieces, which is fine. But then you run into seam lines in the middle of welds, flame cuts and stuff like that, and it's just, for stuff like this, it's a little less hassle. It's not that it's not, you know, unsurmountable, but it's kind of nice. Now there's a little bit of, looks looks like sprue gates in there. They're going to have to be cleaned up. But yeah, it's got some nice texture to it, which in the end won't really matter. Well, yeah, it will for up here. But anyway, that's the upper and lower hull, and that concludes the gray styrene. Okay, next up, and I'm not going to pull all this off of here, and it might be kind of glary because of the plastic and my harsh light, but we've got the magic tracks here, and they are left and right according to the instructions. And then we have the clear parts for the periscopes. We've got some chain, the decals, the metal towing hooks, towing clevises, the metal barrel, and two photo etch frets, and the tow cable here. Haven't opened obviously any of this yet, so I'm not sure if that's metal or fiber type stuff, but we'll see once we open it up. But I'm not going to get into all this because, you know, they're photo etch parts. I'll talk more about them whenever I actually get to the construction part. The last thing is an additional item that I got because apparently all Elefants had Zimmerit. Now, why manufacturers don't mold Zimmerit on vehicles that are supposed to have Zimmerit is just, I don't get it, because the technology's there, because plenty of people do it. Dragon does it, but they didn't do it on this kit. So there's different options for doing the Zimmerit. One, and the oldest method, is putties. I've tried putties with varying degrees of success, and I don't like the way it works. So I usually opt for aftermarket options. Now, Keith, the guy who gave me this kit, he got the Tamiya Zimmerit coating set, but it's designed for the Tamiya kit. And I did some measurements. I'm not going to get into how I did it, but I basically make a template and kind of test fit it on parts and stuff, and they're different. There's differences that just aren't, they're insurmountable for using this on the Dragon kit. There's too many differences. So this I won't be able to use. There are a few other options. There is ATAK makes a resin set, but it's really difficult to come by, and I just, you know, I mean, I could have gone on a long search and everything, but I really didn't want to. So I went with the next option, which was readily available, and that is the Eduard Photo Etch Accessories for scale plastic kits, Elefant Ferdinand Zimmerit for the Dragon kit. And this is it. So a lot of people complain about the photo etch stuff, and I've used it one other time and it worked pretty well. The biggest complaint is that the Zimmerit texture itself is not pronounced enough, and I guess that's might be true to a certain degree, but again, this is 1/35 scale, so I think, you know, it'll show up well enough. Now, one thing that is kind of a problem, especially if you're wanting to do something a little more custom, or maybe do a diorama, or just show a war-torn vehicle, is Zimmerit often gets chipped off in places where there's been impacts from enemy fire, or just running into things. Corners will chip off, chunks will come out. And that is really, really hard to do with photo etch, because if you try and cut some of that stuff off, it's going to bend the photo etch a little bit, and it's really hard to get those bends and twists and flex spots out. So, but you know, I'm not really too concerned about that, and I'll just deal with it. But this is the set, and this is what I'll be attempting to use, and hopefully it'll work. If not, you know, if I start putting it on there and it does look pretty wonky, I may have to just go ahead and go on a quest for the ATAC set. So anyway, this is pretty much the only aftermarket I'm going to be using, because everything else comes with the kit, with the photo etch, metal barrel, and all that kind of stuff. So that actually concludes all of the construction stuff for this kit. So there you have it. That is the introduction to my next project, the Dragon 1/35 scale SDKF Z 184 Elefant. So if you liked this quick look at the box, and you want to see more of this build or any of my other builds, please hit the subscribe button. And if you liked the video, hit the like button. If you didn't like the video, well, don't bother hitting the like button. You can hit the dislike, I guess, but I don't know if those numbers actually show up anymore. But anyway, yeah, that's it. That's the Dragon 1/35 scale Elefant kit. As always, thanks for watching, and stay tuned for the next installment of part 2, where I actually start construction. So, until next time, I will see you all later.